Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. Today, 15th June 2026, equivalent Islamic calendar, 30th Zulhijjah, 1447 after the Hijrah of the Noble Prophet. In the headlines, Presidency says Federation account saves governors from taking bank loans for projects. Kaduna State government allocates 34 billion naira to rescue communities from land degradation. Joint Task Force Operation Hatlankai airstrikes kills scores of terrorist hideouts in Northeast. And on the international scene, European Union lauds US to Iran pact to end war and reopen Strait of Hormuz. And on sport updates, Ecuador coach Becca Sisi laments loss to Ivory Coast in 2026 World Cup. Details of these and more will be coming to you in the news bulletin. Stand by. I am Sumaya Mustafa. The Presidency says Federation Account Allocation Committee (FAC) funds have stopped some state governors from taking bank loans to execute projects. The Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, disclosed this in Ebonyi State while addressing a team of editors and journalists on a tour of federal and state projects in Ebonyi, Abia, Anambra, Enugu, and Imo states. He also described the development as evidence that the administration is performing well. The presidency faulted unfair criticism to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration over project execution in the Southeast geopolitical zone, insisting that the government has delivered several landmark infrastructural projects in the region. Moving on, several road projects for the Southeast region conceived during the colonial era but left unrealized for decades are now being brought to life under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, disclosed this while conducting senior journalists and government officials on a tour of the administration's legacy projects in Ebonyi State. He also highlighted the Calabar to Ebonyi Benue Trans-Saharan Superhighway as a project of strategic importance to the Southeast, South-South, and parts of the North-Central region. Umahi reported progress on the project, noting that Section 1, initially 118 kilometers, has been extended to 123.6 kilometers, with a contract sum of 45 billion naira, and the dualization works are ongoing. The minister also noted that the project has reached about 28% completion in some areas, with work continuing even during the rainy season, appreciated President Tinubu's adoption of concrete road technology. The Kaduna State government has unveiled a 34 billion naira intervention to tackle the decades-long ravine erosion and environmental degradation affecting Rigasa and some communities in Kaduna South and Igabi local government areas. The project, to be executed through the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, will cover a 17-kilometer corridor and is aimed at reclaiming degraded land, controlling erosion, restoring livelihoods, and improving environmental safety in affected communities. Governor Obasani, during an inspection of the state, described the erosion as a major environmental challenge that has persisted for over 30 years, claiming lives, destroying property, and threatening livelihoods. It disclosed that funding for the project has been secured, with groundbreaking expected within 2 weeks and completion scheduled within 18 months. On his part, a community leader, Yusuf Wada Mohammed, said the erosion crisis had caused severe hardship across the communities, destroying homes, farmlands, and properties worth millions of naira, while exposing families to constant danger. Moving on, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has expressed its readiness for the June 20 governorship election in Ekiti State, following the completion of a statewide mock accreditation exercise. INEC Chairman Joash Amopiten disclosed this while addressing media executives and journalists in Ekiti State, where he led a high-level delegation of national commissioners and senior officials on a field inspection of selected polling units where the exercise took place. He explained that the exercise was designed to test the Commission's technological and operational readiness ahead of the upcoming poll. According to INEC boss, the mock accreditation focused on testing the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) and other election day infrastructures. It yielded encouraging results, reinforcing the Commission's confidence in its preparations. Amopitan said this exercise is an essential part of INEC's quality assurance process aimed at identifying and addressing potential challenges before election day. The Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, has demanded parity in allowances with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in ongoing renegotiations with the federal government. General Secretary of NASU, Peters Adeyemi, made the position of the union known while speaking with newsmen in Geneva, Switzerland. Adeyemi, who spoke on the sidelines of the just concluded 114th session of the International Labour Conference, insisted that non-academic workers deserve equal welfare benefits. Specifically, he said the union was seeking parity in allowances following the federal government approval of a 40% increase in allowances for ASU members. According to the scribe, NASU members perform critical roles in universities and should not be treated differently in the allocation of welfare benefits and renegotiated entitlements. He added that the union had rejected an earlier offer of a 30% increase in allowances, insisting that it fell short of what was granted to ASU. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has condemned the federal and state governments for negotiating with and rewarding terrorists and declaring the practice entirely illegal. Falana, while delivering the keynote address at the Amnesty International Second Annual General Meeting in Abuja, cautioned that government officials are committing a grave offense on the Nigerian law by holding talks with insurgents. He noted that it is public knowledge officials of the federal and some state governments have been holding meetings and negotiating with terrorists and bandits, which has led to thousands of repentant criminals being forgiven and given cash gifts of undisclosed sums of money. The Lagos-based lawyer, while asserting that the Boko Haram sect and similar bodies have been proscribed under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, insisted that their members and allies shall be prosecuted and not pampered and be forgiven by the Nigerian state. However, Falana delivered a stern warning regarding the potential use of presidential pardons for such severe crimes. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television Global News. Still to come in the news. Joint Task Force Operation Haddon Kai airstrikes kill scores of terrorist hideouts in Northeast. And on the international scene, European Union lauds US and Iran pact to end war and reopen Strait of Hormuz. And on sport updates, you will hear that Ecuador coach Becca Sisi laments loss to Ivory Coast in 2026 World Cup. These and more will be coming to you after this break. Do stay tuned.
Imagine say television, movies, news and entertainment dey your pocket just like that. Welcome to Svtv app. Now the #1 digital TV app for Nigeria. Svtv app get over 100 live TV channels, breaking news, sports, Nollywood movies, small pikin shows and plenty more inside one app. No decoder wahala, no plenty setup. Just download, open, begin the watch. To get the app, just search Svtv for Google Play Store or Svtv NG for Apple App Store, or scan the QR code for your screen. Registration will take you seconds. You fit use phone number, email, WhatsApp, Google or Apple ID. OTP even dey, so make your account stay safe. For inside the app, the live TV section get over 100 licensed channels with program guide, pause, rewind and catch up. Svtv no be ordinary app. Na digital revolution. Download Svtv today.
Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. An air component of Joint Task Force Operation Haddon Kai has killed 27 terrorists in separate air interdiction missions targeting the criminals' enclaves in the southern and northern Tumbas areas of Borno State. An operational report of the Nigerian Air Force showed that the strikes were conducted following intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance ISR missions across the theater. According to the reports, air assets comprising Dragon and ISR platforms conducted an air interdiction mission at Dawoshe, a non-terrorist enclave in the southern Tumbus area, at about 12:40 a.m. on June 10. It stated that terrorist vehicles were sighted during aerial surveillance and were subsequently engaged by the aircraft, adding that battle damage assessment revealed that the vehicles were destroyed, while 12 terrorists were killed during the operation. Moving on, the Defense Headquarters has threatened that those responsible for the abduction of retired Major General Rabi Abubakar, who died in their custody, will be identified and brought to justice. Late General Abubakar was the former Director of Defense Information (DDI). He was abducted alongside his wife on May 30 along the Katsina to Matazu Road while traveling to his hometown and died in their custody on Friday. The Defense Headquarters Chief Administration Officer, Major General I.M. Abdullahi, described the late general as a distinguished officer whose service and sacrifice to the nation would remain indelible. The Chief Administration Officer led a high-powered military delegation on a condolence visit to the Katsina State government and was received by Deputy Governor Faruk Lawal Jobe on behalf of Governor Dikko Umaru Ratla. Jobe appreciated the military for the show of solidarity and reiterated the state government's resolve to collaborate with security agencies to combat banditry. Moving on, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, state governors, security agencies and other leaders have been urged to demonstrate wisdom, courage and political will in confronting the deteriorating insecurity in Nigeria. The president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Archbishop Daniel Okor, made the call in a message to Christians to mark the observance of Black Sunday, a day set aside by the body to mourn victims of violence and draw national attention to the persistent security challenges facing Nigeria. He painted a grim picture of a nation grappling with widespread violence, noting that thousands of Nigerians have lost their lives. In contrast, many others have been displaced, kidnapped, injured or traumatized by acts of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, communal attacks, and other forms of criminality. Okor said observance is not merely a period of mourning but also a collective call for action and accountability from those entrusted with the responsibility of protecting citizens. He expressed worry that insecurity had continued to threaten national unity, economic growth, social stability, and well-being of millions of Nigerians, stressing that urgent and sustained intervention has become imperative. The Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria has expressed worry over the worsening state of insecurity across the country. The Secretary General of the Council, Nafiu Baba Ahmed, in a statement lamented that every day Nigerians wake up to fresh reports of killings, kidnappings, terrorism, banditry and violent crimes, while government officials continue to offer assurances that bear little resemblance to the reality confronting the ordinary citizens. The statement noted that the security situations have deteriorated to alarming levels, saying recently Nigerians have witnessed disturbing waves of mass abductions, killings and attacks on communities across the country. Baba Ahmed cited the recent mass abduction in Borno, Oyo, Niger and Zamfara states reportedly involved hundreds of residents, shocked the nation and exposed the vulnerability of communities and the abduction of a retired army general and his wife in Katsina State further demonstrates the extent of the crisis. And on the international scene, European Union Chief Antonio Costa has welcomed an agreement between the US and Iran to end the Middle East war, adding that the bloc was ready to contribute to a strategy for lasting peace. Costa wrote on X handle that he looks forward to an end to the war and to the full restoration of freedom for navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States and Iran said they had reached a deal to end the Middle East war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and reopen the vital Strait of Hormuz, but offered little indication on the thorny question of Tehran's nuclear program. Washington and Islamabad added that the pact is to be signed on Friday in Switzerland, signaling a major breakthrough in ending months of war that have taken thousands of lives and roiled energy markets. Few of the details were made public, but US President Donald Trump said the Strait of Hormuz, a key conduct for global oil supplies, will reopen after the planned signing of the deal on Friday. And lastly, on sport updates, Ecuador coach Sebastián Beccacece has lamented his team's 1-0 loss against Ivory Coast in their World Cup opener. Beccacece said he made all the necessary adjustments in the second half to secure a draw against the West African, but the goal ensured his team failed to get a point. Amad Diallo scored a 90th minute winner after coming off the bench to give Ivory Coast all 3 points against Ecuador. Beccacece at his post-match interview said in the second half, "We made the necessary adjustments and were in control enough to secure at least a draw." Ecuador will now face Curacao in their next fixture in Group E, while Ivory Coast will take on Germany. Finally on the news, here's a recap of the top stories again. Presidency says Federation account saves governors from taking bank loans for projects. Kaduna State government allocates 34 billion naira to rescue communities from land degradation. Joint Task Force Operation Hadlankai, airstrikes kills scores of terrorist hideouts in Northeast. And on the international scene, European Union lauds US to Iran pact to end war and reopen Strait of Hormuz. And on sport updates, Ecuador coach Becca Sisi laments loss to Ivory Coast in 2026 World Cup. On behalf of the news editor Ilya Auta and the production crew, my name is Sumaya Mustafa, thanking you and bye for now.